Hi everyone! Welcome to Liza's Paint Parties. I'm Liza and we are going to have a fun time tonight recreating a really beautiful rainbow supermoon from our inspiration paintings that we have today. As you're joining, feel free to let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm here in Ontario, Canada, just outside of Toronto. It's been very, very hot. Apparently not as hot as our friends on the west coast of North America in terms of our BC friends and everyone on the western side of the state. So hopefully you're all keeping cool and safe. Oh, I have to get my water still. I'm so excited to start the live. My water is on the counter over there. Anyways, so today I'm going to be painting our version of this painting. So for anyone who hasn't joined the paint parties before, the way we do this is every Saturday I put up 3 options and everyone votes for the one they like the most. All the options are images that I find online, inspirational ones that I think are really fun and I really want to try to recreate. And then I walk you through how I would go about recreating it. I also encourage strongly to take that as like an inspiration and add your own type of personality and your own elements that you would like for it to make it fully your own. And then we'll walk through that. So if as you're painting, if you have any ideas, anything that you would like to add or anything you'd like, feel free to add it in the comments and share with everyone. I'm really excited for this. This one actually won with 75% of the vote. So all of you guys really, 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 really loved it. So I love it too. I think it's so bright and fun and happy. Hi, Marydale. Oh, I'm glad that it's good today on the West Coast. That's good to hear. I've heard it was brutal. Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who is tuning in, and if you are unable to jump on and paint in this moment, you can always rewatch these painting parties. So I keep them up on the Facebook page under the videos tab, and I also cross-post them after onto my YouTube channel, so you can definitely just watch at your convenience and rewind as so desired. So you're not holden to have to do it right now. Hi Robert, I'm glad you're painting with me. I'm so happy. Yeah, this image is so lovely. And so I'll start talking through how we're going to approach it. Again, similar to most of the images that, and if you watch previous parties, if you joined me before, I always start with whatever's furthest in the background. So the first thing that I'm going to put into this painting is I'm going to do the black sky in the background with the stars. That's going to be the first thing that I'm going to do. Actually, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to decide where I want that moon to live. Correct myself. So I do have a pot lid, which is kind of perfect of the size of the moon I want. So I would suggest if you have maybe the lid of a Tupperware, or if you have, I believe they're the protractors. We had this conversation in one of my last parties as to what those tools were called that we used in geometry class so long ago. Or a pot lid like me. I'm going to do that first, and I'm just going to use a pencil to just mark where I want my moon to live. The reason why I'm going to do this is because on a few reasons. So when I'm using the black paint, it's going to take a little while for it to dry. So I want to get that black paint on, and I want to do the stars on there, but I don't want to have to wait to then go on to start my moon, so that will help that process. The next thing too is that with some of my paints, because I do use dollar store paints, they're not the highest quality. I know my red my red predominantly is very watery. So if I try to paint that on top of the black, it's not going to come out very well. So I would have to do a base of white first before the colors would pop, and that would just add more time. So for me, that's how I'm going to approach it when we do this. So I'm going to get some sort of stencil. Be creative with your stencil. I'm going to mark that, and then I'm just going to paint around it with the black. So I'll get started in just a little bit. I just want to make sure we have time for anyone who wants to paint in the moment, so you can get your supplies and join us. Again, anyone else who might be joining, we're going to be painting this big rainbow supermoon today. Really excited to do this. It's really exciting too. So this week on Saturday, there's an announcement coming up for everyone. So we're going to be changing a few things Still the same process with the paint party. We'll have 3 options for you. I'll still be coming to you live on Wednesdays, but I'm going to be changing up, have a fun collaboration that we're going to be doing starting on July the, I cannot remember the date. I think it's the 10th is when it comes up. I think I might have said the wrong date in my post. I have to double check that. Anywho, so I'll be coming back this Saturday. We'll have more information about that. Okay, I'm just going to grab the water. There we go. My water containers. So in terms of supplies, I have a canvas board. This canvas board is 11 by 14, so it's a nice size. I'm going to be doing it on portrait mode, so basically the shorter is horizontal, the longer is our vertical line there. I have acrylic paint, so if you are painting along, if you have red and yellow and blue and black and white, we can make any colors with those 5. If you have other colors already pre-mixed, you can absolutely dip in and use those. We're going to be using black a lot. Black's going to be our best friend. And we're going to use white, obviously, to really have all the stars. And we're going to play a lot with the colors in the moon, which will be really, really fun. I'm really excited to play with that. I also have my palette, so just something. It can be a paper plate where you're going to mix your paints. And then we also have water containers so we can rinse out our brushes. And I have paper towel as well. And also paintbrushes. So I always, I suggest having 3 sizes. So if you have a large paintbrush to give you coverage, and I say large, it really depends on the size of the canvas that you're going to be using. So the paintbrush that I'm using is a size 10, and it's a nice large, and it's, for me, it's perfect for my 11 by 14 canvas. And then I have a medium one, which is, this one's a size 2. Sometimes it's a size 2 or a size 4, depending on how I'm feeling. And then I have a brush. This one happens to be a size 4, but it has a nice thin line to it. And it also kind of like sits well when you're, has like a, kind of, you can hold your fingers really nicely on it, so you get a good grip on it. I like the control of that. So those are the ones that I'll be using. But again, really it's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you like to use. In this image as well, you might want to use a sponging technique on the moon. That's up to you. It's really whatever you would like to play with and have fun with. And that's really what I encourage in this process, is to play and have fun and enjoy the process of it. Hi, Linda. I'm so glad you liked the picture. That's great. Definitely. Good to see you too. Well, not really see you. Glad you're here. It'd be nice to see you. That's the one thing I'm missing. I'd love to have some back and forth interaction. If you are, if anyone out there, if you want to have I don't know, personal paint party, if you have like some kind of event coming up, birthday party or a social gathering that you would like me to host for you, definitely reach out and we can do that. I do offer different types of personal paint party packages. It's a lot of P's. Yeah. In that sentence. Also, if you're enjoying these free sessions, you can feel free to leave me a tip. There's a buy me a coffee link as well. So if you would like to go and just throw me some money to buy a coffee or just to support, it's always appreciated. It's not required at all, but there is an option there if you so desire. And I think that's about it. So without further ado, I will move the camera also so you can see the canvas better than what we have. But I think for now, I'm going to start off with using my handy dandy stencil. Nice potlet. Honestly, like, when I thought of this, I was like, this is like the best idea. Like, how much control can someone have? So I'm gonna put that there, and I'm just gonna get a pencil that I have. I'm just gonna see if I can figure it out. It's gonna be a little bigger than our inspiration image, but I think I'm gonna rock with it. Ooh, it's gonna be a little off, isn't it? Maybe a tad. There you go, not too bad. Okay. So I just kind of penciled out where I want my moon to be. So like I said, mine's gonna be it's gonna differ from our inspiration image. And again, for anyone who hasn't painted with me before, I've never painted this. This is the first time I'm doing it. So I'm just walking you through how I would go about kind of capturing the inspiration that's in it. And I want to kind of make it my own as well. So I do want the moon to be a little bit more big and impactful there. And so now I'm going to just kind of eyeball where I want my horizon. The horizon's kind of going to end around just below the moon. I think there's, looks like there's still like a sky there, but there's no stars that you can really tell. Kind of strange, but we'll leave it as such. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to paint this whole back area black and get that going. So that's what I'm going to start with. So let's start with that process. So I'm going to just get black paint on my palette. It's 6:08. Okay, good. We have good timing to start now. I want to make sure I give everyone some time to join. You can also rewind this live recording as well, so feel free to rewind if I'm going too quickly or if you've missed something. Feel free to do so. If you have any questions or want to chat at all, feel free to make comments in the chat box. I will keep an eye on it as we go. And if not, that's fine too. I'm going to kind of go over where my line is. Oh, frick, I just got paint on my pants. Try and wear clothes that you don't mind getting dirty. I was really good when I first started the paint parties. I always like wore things that I didn't care about. And I've just become more lax lately. I've been pretty good about not getting paint on my clothes. And I think I've jinxed myself, so now. Today I'm like, oh yeah, I'll wear like a pretty white shirt. Yeah, sure, that sounds good. Sure, it'll be fine. All right, just gonna go around. Not worrying too much about keeping this perfect circle because I'm going to define it a bit better when we actually get all the colors and stuff on there. I'm not worrying too much about that. And I might even, like, when I do the colors, if they end up coming out of line and getting onto the black, I might go back afterwards and touch it up with black paint just to keep it clean and clearly separated from my sky. Okay, so I'm only going to go till about, just to do the sky for now, because I'll worry about the foreground later. I'm also remembering to paint the sides of my canvas and the top, especially if you're using an actual canvas and you want to hang it up. It's always nice to have just continuous paint flowing. I highly, highly encourage it. Okay, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful. I do too, Laura. I think this is such a beautiful, beautiful image. When I saw it, it just like spoke to me. I thought it was just so lovely. So I always use I always have 2 water containers, especially when I'm using black paint, because as soon as I like rinse this out in my paint, my water, the water's gone, right? It turns black and I can't really use it for much later. I'm just going to try to rinse out my brush a bit. I don't want the paint to remain on my brush, so I do like to rinse them out as I go and just like dry them off a bit. Like, it's not going to wash them completely. I'm still going to have to do like a full wash after, but prefer that process, like so. Okay, I will be using you in a little bit. Okay, fantastic. So the next thing I want to do is I want to get this starry splatter effect happening on my sky. I want to get all these white stars going on. So there's a few ways that you can do this. So if you have white paint, I'm going to do it right away because it shouldn't really matter if it's on wet paint or not, because it will just splatter on and live on top of it, so it's totally fine. Again, another reason why I should have worn older clothes for splatter time, but you know, c'est la vie. Okay, am I using this big brush? Perhaps. Sometimes it's nice to use like an old toothbrush. That kind of works nicely. I don't know if I have one. I do have one. I'm going to grab that actually before I get started. Here we go. All the random paintbrushes I have and own. I think there's a toothbrush in here somewhere. And I also have some like older brush. I think this will get a good splatter on because it's like harder bristles. So maybe I'll use that one. Yeah, I think that is what I'm feeling. Maybe more than a toothbrush. Toothbrush will be very like small little splatters, and I want it a bit more intense. Okay, So what I'm going to do is, I forgot to move this. I'm just going to move it like that so you can see the image a bit better. And see me a bit, but not fully, I guess. It's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to get paint on my brush there. And I'm just going to start flicking it. Like a good amount. So the first bit you go, I might get a little crazy. If you want it to be like true, just dot stars in the sky, you may not want to do a flicking technique because there might be some splatter lines like up there. I'm personally okay with that. I like that flow and that look. If you don't like that, you can have more control by just going in and painting like all the dots in the sky if you want. Making some larger and some smaller. And I'm doing this part first because if I were to start splattering when we had painted our beautiful supermoon, our moon would have stars all over it. I know it sounds maybe obvious, but I've learned to realize that just because it sounds obvious doesn't mean everyone's going to see it as obvious. So I will just mention that. So I'm just going to clean off that brush. Which is so thick. Okay, so we have a splattery vibe going on, so I'll just show that a little bit closer. A little splatter going on that corner, but yeah, so that's what I got so far. It's weird doing it on camera because I feel like everything's backwards. Ooh. This way. There you go. Cool. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to put my hair up as well at this point because it's starting to get in the way a tad. Okay, so next thing I'm going to play with after the splatter sky is I'm going to start putting the colors on my moon. So again, if you want, you can do this by using a sponge to get kind of like this, I guess, spongy type look. I don't think I'm going to go that route. I'm just going to play with kind of plopping the colors in and then just like using my brush to like blend and have it flow between each other, if that makes sense. Now, I think I'm actually going to start, excuse me, with the with yellow, I think. Or if I want to go with red first. Yeah, maybe red. Let's go with red first. Okay, so I'm just going to get some red on my palette, just a little bit. I think I'm going to use my medium. Do I want to use my medium brush right now? Yeah, I do. I'm going to use my medium brush. And we're not going to worry too much about this part first. We're just going to get the color on and then we're going to play with it from there, okay? So if we look at our inspiration image, we have it literally goes like from a rainbow, right? So it has kind of like a reddish pinkish vibe into kind of more red to like an orange to yellow to green to like an aqua to a blue to like an indigo to a purple, and then back again, reflecting that same kind of reddy, pinky, purpley on either side. So that's the flow that I'm going to try to emulate. Hi, Joanne. Absolutely. Anyone who's doing the painting along with me now, or if you're doing it later, please take a picture of it and share, because I'd love to see what you guys have come up with and how it turns out. Very fun to see people's interpretations of things and how you've done things, change them, and to make them your own. Okay, I'm just going to start. I kind of went more of a pink route. I'm going to get more red back in here. So I'm going to start getting some color happening. I'm going to get my yellow on so I can maybe start playing with some orange stuff. If you have pre-mixed orange too, like, feel free. I'm just going to start getting yellow into some of my red and just have more of a have to play with the line of my moon. Just trying to get different colors happening. Let's get more yellow. Bring the yellow in. Okay, so now more yellow and less of the red. Let's try to start. I know it's not yellow on this side, but I want to start rounding out my moon. I have more yellow here. Mixing a lot into there. Oof. Okay. Definitely I'm realizing that I'm going to have to go over with the black again just to clean that up, but that's alright. Okay, so I have it flowing. Big fiery orb. How it's been feeling, I think, to a lot of us in the last couple of days. Feel the power of the sun. Okay, so I'm gonna get some blue on my palette. I'm gonna go for like my lighter blue. It's kind of like an aqua-y type blue first. I'm gonna start placing that in, and then I need to get my yellow to give it a green tinge happening. And I'm kind of just like dabbing my brush and doing like little kind of X's, like swooshes, to kind of give it a little bit of texture. So I'm not, again, if you're using like a sponge, then you'll get a bit of that texture from just sponging the paint on, right? But I want to create a little bit of movement and texture with just the paintbrush, so I'm just trying to be like kind of light on it. I'm being cognizant of like making sure that I'm not just only doing one type of stroke. Putting a little bit more aqua. Give that a little bit. Just gonna add a bit more aqua in here. Going too far. Get a bit of yellow just to tone it down. I just went a little bit too much. It's not that bad, I guess. Okay. Then I'm going to go my darker blue and bring this in. That way. A little bit more of this lighter one. Touch it up a little bit, mix it up a little bit in there. Okay, and then we want to make kind of like a purplish happening. So I'm just mixing my red and my green a bit. My red and my green, oh my gosh. My red and my like light kind of blue to get kind of a light purple happening. And I'm just going to get my darker blue in this mix to get more of a darker value of that purple. Okay, and then let's go more red here. Okay, so now we have some colors happening. So that's kind of what my moon looks like at the moment. I think I'm going to do like another layer on top of it and do the same thing I just did, but just have another layer. Yeah, want to play with it, another layer on top. Let's see how it goes again. Sorry, my thing just conked out, not conked out, timed out. Okay, yeah, let's do that. So, I'm gonna clean off my brush from the paint, but I'm not really rinsing it off, I'm just wiping it off on my paper towel. Okay, so start again from the side. So red going. Get some yellow, get some orange happening. So I'm just doing the same process I just did. I'm just going on top. And so the orange happening. The yellow. Like throw in, like hide like a little heart in here somewhere. And put a little, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly. Just kind of had the idea as I was doing this. I was like, oh, we kind of needs to like hide a little like love note in this sphere. So again, I'm just kind of dabbing and just crisscrossing and mixing, and I'm going back and forth now between the kind of aqua, like the lighter blue I have, and the yellow, just to create a bit of a green. It's very bright. We need to get more yellow and tone that sucker down. Yeah, I'm digging that. Okay. Trying to be conscious not to. I want to make it a little bit random. I don't want to have like streaks. I have like red or yellow. Like I want it to be blended, similar to how they have those vibes happening in the inspiration painting. Like it all kind of blends into each other. I like that a lot about it. And this is really where like your focus is going to be, so take your time and play with it, go over it as many times as you want. Great thing about acrylic is that you can always paint over things, so if you wanted to play, or if you're not so happy with something, or you want to try something a little different, go for it, because the worst case scenario is that you just paint over it after. It's very forgiving. Okay. Okay, and then now let's go back and get that purple happening. But no, I need it to be a bit lighter first. So I'm just going back and forth with the colors, and then if it gets a little bit too much, I go to the last color I used, so I'm going back into that blue and just blending it back into that purple I put on, so it went a little too far purple, and I don't like that. And really, it's just feeling it out, seeing what you like, and making little crisscrosses until you get the vibe that you enjoy. Or using a sponge and like sponging it on. Okay, I think I want to put that little bit of red on that side too. A little touch of it. Okay, I'm making it to be a little bit lighter. Hint of pink. So with white, I'm just gonna muck up my moon a bit. I'm gonna put little bits of, maybe not. That wasn't the smartest idea there. Tiny. That's okay, that works fine. I do want to get a bit of the purple on this side though. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with it. I want to probably clean up the line at the bottom here a bit and make it more round, but that's what, after doing the second coating of another layer of paint on top of the moon, that's kind of what I've gone with, and I kind of dig in this vibe that's happening. So I'm going to leave it as is. I like the way it is. So I'm just going to go in and just touch up the line at the bottom here. Definitely start coloring outside of the lines there. Made my moon look a little bit weird. I'm try to just clean that up a little bit. That's better. And I'm just gonna do the same thing around here. That's good. I see a little bit here. Maybe just like that. A little bit there. Okay. I think that is what I'm doing for my super moon. Cool. All right. So next up on docket, I want to put in this far piece of land where, so like this one here, it looks like there's a piece of land, there's trees on it. This one looks like there's trees and then a piece of land in front of it. So I think I'm going to start on that side. I'm going to put in that piece of land in black. It's going to be odd because we'll have black on black, but we'll get a vibe. So it's going to come up And it's going to come down, and there's no stars on the land, so it is going to paint over the stars that showed up beautifully in that area, because the land will obviously not have those. Okay. And I am going to put in kind of a edge of land, because it does go above in this area, so I'm just going to make it a little hilly, I suppose. The trees will sit on top of this area. I'm just doing this with my thin brush right now. I'll play with it more and bring the black further down after, but right now I'm not going to worry about that yet. So you really can't see the difference, I think, from your camera angle, but I just put in. Let's see if we can even see. Yeah, so you can see that it's fully black in this area here, and that's the land, and it's fully black a little bit here. And I just went over the stars to get that land in place. Now, the trees. So we're going to be playing with the trees. I'm going to be using a very dark gray to pop the trees in, and then we're going to use white to give them the highlight that the bright supermoon is showing or is bouncing off of to get them to be noticed. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of white in my black and get it a little bit so we can see it, but it's still going to be pretty darn dark. It's going to be a very dark gray. Okay, and I'm going to first start by popping kind of a guideline of where my tree's living. And then I'm going to just go back and forth with branches, just to give it the feeling. And I'm using a brush that I probably should have used a thinner one from, just to get the outline, and then we'll play with, I have to get a thinner brush to get it there. If you can see, oof. So I just have like a shadow tree, like that. And then we'll emphasize it more later. I am going to switch to my medium paintbrush, my number 2, because my number 4 is just a touch too wide, and I'm not digging the way the branches are looking with it. I'm just going to move to a smaller brush and see if that makes me a little happier. I mean, again, at the same time, it's the shadow portion, and then we're still going to go in and put in the details with the white, and that will make it more detailed at that point. But I think I'll feel more comfortable doing that with a slightly thinner brush. Okay. Yeah, okay, let's do it with this one. Okay, so we're gonna have another tree like here. And again. Down. I feel like this one has a bit more, it's a bit better. I like. Okay. I have to still go on top of that after, because I brought the tree down a little bit too far into my ground, and that's not so, doesn't make that much sense. Okay. So now we have a tree that lives here. And it's going to come out. Basically, with the flat brush that I have, when I'm getting the paint and I'm mixing it, I'm collecting the paint, and then my brush becomes very flat, so it's very thin, and it becomes very like a nice thin line there, and that's the line that I use when I put in my tree, and then that's the side of the brush that I use when I get these bristles kind of going. Or the branches, I should say. The bristles of my paintbrush are how I get the branches on my tree. Okay. There's another little line back here. Okay. And there's one right here. Like that. Okay. So we have a tree line happening. Tree line! Okay. Just going to cut these trees off a little bit with my paint because I went a little bit too far. It's like they're kind of planted just behind this piece of land. You can't really see the bases of them. There we go. Okay. So if the medium-sized brush is working for you, you can use it to put in the white to give it that highlight. It's up to you. I think I am going to use this to put in a little bit of the highlight on the, I don't know if I'm going to use it for the trees. I think it's a little still too thick, but there's a little bit of a highlight on the land. So I'm just going to put a little bit of white to kind of show that there's maybe like a rocky or a little bit like that. Oop, I'll get into the light. So I just put a few little lines like that. And now that I'm looking at them, they're a little bit too uniform, so I need to change them up a little bit. Sometimes that happens when you look at them again, you're like, okay, yeah, it's a little, they look too similar, like too evenly spaced out. They're all the same size. I'm like, okay, let's mess them up a little bit, make them look more jagged, realistic. I feel like that looks a little better. Okay. So now I'm going to try with this brush, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll move to my thinner brush, but I am going to play with it and try to touch and put a little bit of highlight on some of these. So it's only going to be on the one side of the tree, the side that the moon would be reflecting on. And we're just going to go and put like a few little kisses of white. And again, I want you to move the brush not just in the angle, like don't just go straight down like in the lines you initially made. Again, it won't look realistic. So you want to make some like straight, put some kind of like in weird spots to make it look a little bit more natural. Because when the tree's sitting there, the branches don't just fold perfectly. Like it does have a bit of a symmetry to it, obviously, but some of them don't. So try to capture that imperfect perfection by moving your brush a little bit awkwardly, I guess. Be awkward, enjoy it. Okay, and then the ones like this one closer to the sun here, the sun, oh my gosh, the moon, has a little bit almost on both sides, so I'm gonna just touch it a little bit. Maybe on both sides. It's kind of right there. Okay, and let's continue on. This one, so tiny. in this one here. Okay, so I'll bring that a bit closer, so that's all I've done there to have that healing happen. And I still feel like mine looks a little too, like, perfect. Like, I don't like how it's like these straight lines. Again, that doesn't really make sense to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and get my gray that I used to make my trees. And I'm just going to mess up my lines a little bit. Kind of dab it, and I feel like by doing that, that makes it look a little bit more natural. It'll take away some of my natural pattern stamping kind of method that I tend to do, even though I don't want to do. Okay, so I'll show you how that looks now that I've just kind of like stamped it a bit. So it still has that vibe, but it's just a little bit more subdued than being like straight, streaky lines. The other thing too is some of the lines, like some of them are just like little like dots of white. So I want to go back in and just like put in kind of like little kind of like dots of white in here. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. All right, so let's do the other side. I think, you know what, I kind of want to, before I move on, I want to put a little bit of black back in here too. I feel like that's the right thing to do, but I don't know. We'll see if it turns out okay or not. I'm just going to get the gray again just to dull out the blacks. I feel like there just need to be a bit more shadow happening, and I've kind of gotten rid of it by putting too much gray. So I just put black back on, but then I'm just going back over with the gray on top of it just to... I feel like it looks a little bit more realistic. I kind of like the way that looks. So that's how those look right now. Okie dokie. Let's do the other side. Oh, I'm so annoyed I got paint on these pants. Darn it. Okay. Anyways. Let us continue with our trees. So once again, a nice charcoaly gray shadowy trees. Okay, so we're gonna start off nice tree here. Don't go away, we need you. Okay, so there we go. number 1. Okay, I'll put another one right here. And they're always like more dense towards the trunk, and then they're more sparse as they go away from the tree. So you want to keep it a little thicker near the trunk, and then just have the branches a bit more sparse as they go away from the tree. So there's that guy. And then there's a smaller one right here. Okay. Okay, and one more tree. Okay, so there we go. So we have our little line on the side there. So we got there, just again, just like the shadow of it, and then we're going to have to build them up so they look like the other side. So first thing I want to do is let's add the bright white highlight. Okay, to this. Okay, there we go. Here. Okay, so I did a slightly different approach to kind of like the way that looks more, to be honest. Okay, I'm just going to go back and get my gray again, just to dull it out a little bit more. I don't think this one needs it as much because I kind of did more of like a stamping kind of technique, and I think that works a little bit nicer. I'm going to put some black back on this side. So same process like I did over on the other side, but the one thing I changed, instead of having strokes, I kind of made it more like stampy, if that makes sense. So the texture looked a little bit more natural. And I think that worked better with the way the trees are. I like the way it looks a little bit nicer. Okay, I'll get my gray again. All right. Yeah, I definitely like those trees more. So I think, ooh, how am I? Yeah, like that. Yeah, I think those look more natural. So I would suggest doing it like that. Oh, yours, I still like the way these ones look too, but I kind of like this more stampiness. Like it looks more like there's different movement in the bristle and the bristles and the branches. Thank you, Linda. So fun and bright. I love this picture. This boat painting is so beautiful. Okay, so I think at this point I want to, start putting in the color. reflection on this water. And then we'll build in the sides and put the highlights at that point. And I'm guessing these dots, I think they're what, like fireflies or something? I don't really know. Or maybe a reflection of the stars. I'm not really sure. I don't really get those white dots on the side. So I don't know if I'm going to put them in or not. We'll see. Okay. So I'm going to get my brush, my number 4 medium brush. And I'm going to start by putting in the reflection. Oh, you know what I haven't done yet? Sorry. My bad. I just want to put in, so I have those like lines around here. I'm going to do the same thing on the side. And I have to just put my land again because my trees are in the background. I'm going to put my land back in like that. Okay. Okay, let's go and get my white paint. Okay. And then let's create a bit of land. My white paint here. Okay, nice. Need to be a little bit more happening on this side. Just a touch. Okay, cool. Awesome. So now let's start playing with the color again. Okay. So similarly, I think, so we're gonna, so as you can see, it's like the red and orange on this side reflecting this side of the moon. Then it goes into like yellow, then it goes into green, then it goes into the blues and the purples, and there's a little bit of white down the center. So we'll put that in at the end to just make it all pop. But we're gonna follow the same thing. And I'm just gonna have fun and put random colors on my canvas because we're going to play with this. And I want to put a few different layers. So I'm just going to throw in some red strokes, red little streakies all the way down without much care. And I'm going to get some yellow. And now start, and my brush that had red on it, I just went right into my yellow paint. And now I'm going to have a nice kind of orange vibe happening. So now I'm just going to put little lines of this orangey color as well. Okay. Now I'm just going to clean that off a bit because now I want to get just more of like pure yellow. Start getting that going. And as I'm going through, I'm just looking at where the white space is. Like on the areas that I've already painted, and then just like layering in. So I'm trying to cover my canvas fully, but I'm doing it intentionally, and I'm also then pulling it across the areas that I don't have a lot of paint happening yet. I'm going to bring in the green on this side. And then we'll fill in some of the gaps separately. Okay, so now I'm going to get that aqua-y color. I'll mix it a bit with my yellow. I have a bit of a green happening. Sometimes the colors get a little bit over on different sides. And we might go back and still pick up some of that orange or the red after and play with that a little bit more. So this is like a work in process, right? So don't get discouraged if it's not turning out exactly or it's not perfect right in the moment. I'm just going to keep layering and keep building with it. And I'm going to get my like aqua blue kind of color. There's not much that I see in the inspiration image, but I do want to play with that a little bit. Okay, and I'll get the more of the darker blue. Okay. Bring some of this darker blue in a little bit further. Just a bunch of colors happening. And I want some purple, so I need to get some red mixed into my blue to get a little bit of purple happening. Yeah. Okay, so, and then we see there's a lot of black that's sweeping in from the sides into it. So I'm gonna play with that a little bit too. Now it's just gonna start connecting everything into our background. Putting little lines of black. They might creep in further than you think into the painting. Great. Very intentional that it's going to end up going into a fully black background. Okay, I need more black paint. That is for sure. And then I'm going to go back in and touch up the water as I go. And probably go back over and add some more, do like either another layer of color, play with it a little bit more, we'll see. So this whole part ends up being black. But there definitely seems to be some land still happening, so we'll play with that in a little bit to have to differentiate it between where the water starts and where the land is. First of all, let's bring this up a little bit like that. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing on this side, and then we'll go in and play more with it afterwards. So I'm going to bring this in. This is like a piece of land that's coming in a bit further. Okay. Okay, so now let's paint all of the rest of this. Okay. Cool. So now we have this black seeping through. Just gonna swap from this brush. Go back to my number 2 one. Just gonna get the white and get some of those white highlights happening down the center. So bring that all the way down that way. Okay, I'm gonna go, I need to get some more yellow. I want to play more with yellow. I feel like it's not where I want it to be yet. Let's put some, so I'm gonna try to see where I can still see my canvas kind of peeking through. And I'm gonna put in little streaks of this yellow. Play with it a little bit more. It's okay if there's a little bit of black streaks because I still want that to come through too. Okay. I do want to put a little bit of the darker kind of gray, black, charcoaly vibe, because there's definitely some darker lines that make their way into this water. I want to put a little bit and play with it a bit. Oof, a little bit dark. Kind of messy and dark, and I like it. Okay. Awesome. So now I want to put some emphasis on the land that is on the side of this water. So we have like some elements of just like, kind of looks like, just to get like an idea that there's like rocks and other types of terrain on the side. So I'm just going with white paint, and I'm just trying to put like little lines that will make it look more like there's something here, not just water. Awesome. Okay. So I think I feel pretty good about it. I think I'm kind of done. We're pretty happy with it. Awesome. All right, so there we go. Here is my completed version of this rainbow supermoon. So I hope you all enjoyed painting from this inspiration image along with me, and that you all took your own vibe from it and played with it and enjoy the process. If you did follow along, please take a picture and share it with me in the comments. That'd be amazing. I'll snap a picture as well and share it as a post on the page too, so feel free to like add there. And as I mentioned, on Saturday there'll be a special announcement coming to you, and then we'll have some more paint parties coming your way in July. All right, everyone, have a fantastic rest of your week. Anyone who is celebrating or not celebrating Canada Day, and also Independence Day in the States, or any other celebrations that might be going on anywhere in the world, or any other times where we should be reflecting instead of simply celebrating certain holidays. I hope and I wish you all the very best, all the most health and happiness, and time for reflection and enjoyment. And yes, take care. Have a fantastic day. Bye, everyone.